All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there, just like you and just like me. Now, I had somebody suggest to me I should put breaking news on every one of my videos to get back the viewing mojo. So I've got some Deep Purple breaking news coming up. But before I get to Deep Purple, here's a band that if you like Deep Purple, you might like them. I showcased this the other day, and I had somebody say, "Hey, that was really good." So I went back and listened to it again because I hadn't listened to City of Lights in a while, and it's really good. And so again, the singer on this project is just he's killer. He's amazing. He's done other things, but City of Lights, Before the Sun Sets, again, if you like Deep Purple or White Snake, like the classic era of those bands, I think you'll appreciate City of Lights. Now, what's going on with Deep Purple? Breaking news about Deep Purple. Apparently, they've got to cancel a gig because the legendary keyboardist Don Airey, he says here he's going to have to sit out the December 17th concert at the Badland Festival in India, of all places. You notice, little commentary here. You notice that other countries love our old school classic rock. I mean, obviously, Deep Purple is a British band, but um, the classic rock era bands that are still roaming around. And Deep Purple, they were supposed to retire, but they've said, hey, we're just going to continue to go until we drop. That's what Don Airey said in an interview recently. And the band seems rather revitalized with guitarist Simon McBride. That was an interesting thing that happened when Steve Morse left, and that seemed like it would be a big deal. But the band just continued on, and they were just thrilled that Simon McBride was there, who has a completely different style. Um, Maybe, they were looking to go back to that old school style rather than the jazz fusion style that Morse brought to the band. Although I think they made a lot of great music with Steve Morse. Um, Everybody's living in the shadow of Ritchie Blackmore. So maybe Simon lives in that shadow in a better way. I don't know. Or maybe they just, get along well with Simon McBride. I'm not sure. But this unforeseen illness thing that constantly is reported out there, I don't know, folks. I mean, I read this and I go, so you didn't think this could happen? First of all, even if you don't suspect what I suspect could be happening out there, these guys, all of them, they're on the protocol. They have to be. It's likely in the contract when they sign it. Um, the venue they go to, they may have requirements that are different from the overall requirements that are in the touring contract. And then there are riders that are put in for different locations. Um, so this is like walking on eggshells. And so rather than replacing Don Airey, which would be a practical thing to do, but um, considering that Don Airey is really important to the Deep Purple keyboard sound, and who are you going to replace him with? Unless you have like Rick Wakeman, on tour with you or somebody. I'm just thinking of who could replace Don Airey. It would be a tall task. I mean, he replaced the great John Lord. Um, and I think he was the only guy who really fit like the John Lord school of Deep Purple keyboard playing. But if you put out there due to unforeseen illness and Don Airey is unable to perform, is Don okay? He says he's disappointed not to be performing. Did he take a test? This is the one that drives me crazy. Did he take a test because the test was required and the test came back positive? But yet maybe Don is feeling great. I mean, and we've heard this in the past. I know of one famous drummer who had to sit out a New Year's Eve concert He was feeling great, and this was a high profile on television event, and yet he was stuck in his hotel room and he couldn't perform. And then he had to be isolated from people, essentially quarantined for I don't know how many days. Of course, this was a couple of years ago when the crazy had hit like a fever pitch. Now I think, hey, he took the test didn't go well. You guys have to cancel. How much money are they losing when this happens? And then all the other expenses like getting the venue, securing the location, you know, imagine renting out stadiums because that's essentially what you do when you pay the stadium. That's the overhead that cuts into your bottom line. And it's getting higher and higher. That's why ticket prices are, two tickets to see Deep Purple in a good location, not in the nosebleed area. I don't know. Maybe they're not so bad in India, but if they ever come back to the States or they go someplace where the economy is not so good and people are wanting more money for their services, you're going to see ticket prices in the hundreds of dollars minimum, like three, four, $500 to go see a great band like Deep Purple. Deep Purple would be a great band to see if you haven't seen them because they just put on a great show. They've got a great catalog. Um, they've got great musicians too, and that's why they've stood the test of time. So it is rather disappointing if Don Airey can't perform. He's really not replaceable on short notice like that. But I forget who was talking about this a couple of years ago. It might have been David Lee Roth, who said, during this era, meaning the era of CBS, Walgreens, and contracts, you probably need backup players at each position, who are ready to jump in at any time. And I think that's a good strategy moving forward for concerts. Because guess what? People book hotels, people make plans, people get out of work in some cases. And, you do that once and your employer is going to say, yeah, you know what? You can't keep doing that. Well, they're rescheduling next week or next month. Well, no, maybe you can, if you get enough notice, maybe you could say, hey, I can work that day now. But a lot of people make plans and they get on an airplane. The Bruce Springsteen thing here in the United States is wacky. They were interviewing people who are coming from England and Ireland and South America to see Bruce Springsteen play concerts, and then Bruce canceled a bunch of them. I mean, those people, unless they can just pull up stakes at any time, most people can't do that stuff. Most people that I am affiliated with or talk with, people I know, you can't just disrupt, your life and just stop everything for concerts. Although there are some people on my Patreon who I essentially live through vicariously because they go to concerts all the time. And it's kind of cool in a way. They tell me about it and I go, excellent. A lot of times I'm not that enthusiastic about going out to see a band that is like 1/5 of what they used to be, And in the case of Deep Purple, though, I'd go see Purple for sure because they're just such a great band and, legendary band. And I've never seen them. So it would be cool. All right. So wrapping up the video here, we hope that Don Airey feels better. He may have taken a test and he may be feeling fine. But yeah, let's just continue to cancel shows because we're still doing the 2021 protocol. City of Lights, Before the Sun Sets, if you want some great music that is kind of in that Whitesnake, Deep Purple, Michael Schenker kind of, area, I think you'll enjoy it. Also, folks, Patreon, the algorithm was being nice to me for about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. That is now over, suddenly and unexpectedly over. Much like some of the videos, and people have said, well, your content has been focusing too much on these sudden and unexpected things that are happening out in the world. Stop talking about actuary tables and insurance companies and get back in your lane, dude. So anyway, for those of you who like the content and you don't really care that I'm out of my lane from time to time, please consider $1 or $2 a month on Patreon. Also, for YouTube memberships, many of the videos that I put out, you'll get early watching privileges, which I think is a good perk. And if you sign up there, typically I don't know you're signing up over there. That's the only thing about Patreon that I really like is that I get to talk to people. And when people sign up, I see that they've signed up. And then I typically greet them and say thank you and so forth. So, anyway, folks, Patreon, you can do $10, $5, $1, $2, whatever you can afford. And YouTube memberships are just $2.99 a month. And that'll get you in for all the early watching. If you've got a busy schedule and you don't want to wait all day for videos, I hear you, man. And hence, that would be a good thing to do. Alrighty, done with this video. Thanks for watching. God bless everyone. And please pray for peace in the Middle East and around the world. And I will see you soon.